Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is going on, crypto family? I have finally gotten the channel switched over from the Coin King, and we are now G.O.A.T Media Invest. I wanted to just be G.O.A.T Media, but the name is already taken. It's already taken. All right. Let's just jump right into it. You can see on the chart right now, I do have USDT dominance up. It is continuing to climb higher. We will be coming into an area of resistance soon. But as we do so, Bitcoin is breaking major support levels. So this was one of our most important support levels that we recently came into with Bitcoin, and yeah, we've crashed straight through that. So let me get us over here to the Bitcoin chart. Take a look at this. Put us on the 4-hour time frame here. And let me know if that music is up too loud. I will turn it down. I can't really tell. I'm using a new headset, and before it seemed kind of low at the volume settings that I had on it previously. So I don't want to over. Actually, let me just turn it down a little bit more. There we go. I think that might work for us right there. Okay. So obviously we were looking for Bitcoin to see if we couldn't hold in here at the golden pocket with the VWAP. And also there was a shelf of volume here that would have held price up as support along with the ascending trend line. You can see we broke it, we reclaimed, but then we started to reject from the VWAP and we dropped down lower. So we took the liquidity down here. No major reaction happened at the liquidity level. And now we're dropping a little bit further down, possibly coming into this 786 zone right here. I will be looking down lower. This is where my next area of interest is going to be at. If I intend to take a long here, it's going to be right in here. And then, of course, the final place for me is going to be right in here. Now, you have your biggest area of support right in here. So I'm going to put this on a daily time frame, and we'll take a look at why this is the most important level right here. But I don't want to dismiss this. I will give Bitcoin another chance right here, see if we can't get a bounce, but it will have to actually come to my level per se. We'll have to come here. So here on the daily, this is going to be your most important level. It's going to be right down here, so you can see how many times we actually gauged with this zone down here. I'm gonna put on a repeat. So we got it here, 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 and also here. This is the number of times that we actually tapped in here and we managed to hold it. So this is the most critical level right here for Bitcoin. Once this is gone, it's over with. Even if we take this liquidity down here, I would have to say it's no bueno. It's no bueno if we're taking that liquidity down here. If we do anything, we want to be able to tap into here, maybe even wick. That's fine. Wicks are fine. I don't want to take out the liquidity down here at this low. I do want to see us manage to hold here and bounce. But for now, we will be coming into this area right here. So let me take these off. Let's take a look at this. So we have here, here, and here. Not as strong, but we do also have the 786. So it is a psychological area where price can come to and see a bounce from. We didn't have a lot in here. The whole basis on this position right here was for price action to take the liquidity. And if we were taking the liquidity down here at the lows, I want to see an SFP. And I gave it the grace of dropping into this area right here to see if we couldn't bounce from it. This is where I actually took my long. I got stopped out of it. So I'm no longer in the trade. I'm sitting on hands right now. I'm going to wait for the market to either prove itself to me by consolidating. Doesn't have to do it on the daily time frame, but I do definitely need to see it on the 4-hour time frame and also on the 1-hour time frame. So we've seen a few green candles come in on the 1-hour time frame. We saw one green candle come in on the 4-hour time frame, but we have not seen any sort of consolidation just yet. We've had about 2 candles where it looks like price action is trying to do like a V-shaped recovery, and we know that we're not in a V-shaped recovery environment, so that's not going to work. We're going to have to lean on this area right here. Now, Possibly even grabbing the liquidity down here below this 67 859, which is going to be perfect, in my opinion. But that is where we're at right now for Bitcoin falling. We did break the ascending trend line also, the ascending trend line through here, which you just saw it on the other time frame, but I'll put it like this. We did break this ascending trend line right here. Again, I don't put weight on this as being a bear flag. I'm just going to say that again. I don't put weight on it being a bear flag. It doesn't change the fact that price action can actually drop to the lows and take out this low, or even, I'm not going to even say the measured move. I'm not going to even give it that much right now, because I shared with you yesterday something that I'm looking at on the monthly time frame, as a probability. But it's too long in time for me to consider this to be a bear flag at this point. It just is. The structure of it doesn't even give me that. Doesn't I mean period point blank. I don't even get that from the structure, but it doesn't mean that price action still can't fall down, because it can. We're falling right now. Doesn't mean that I just don't treat this as a bear flag. It's simply just a break. We took the liquidity below that trend line. We've done that before already. We have this big huge space in here where we got this nice pump to the upside. I just can't give it that. And like I said, too extended in time, to be a bear flag. Okay. So this is what we have in here. We did get a little bounce right here. Before taking the liquidity, it was a 3 month support level. And we slid straight through that. Straight through that. Here we are. Here we are. So we're gonna keep our eyes on that. I'm gonna come back to Bitcoin shortly, but I am gonna keep it moving. Um, I want to touch up on SPY, since we have been moving relatively closely with SPY. We did see a bounce yesterday from our trend line here, where we came up and we took out the high again here on SPY. Bitcoin also bounced around the same time, a little later than SPY. So there are moments here and there where you'll see it won't actually move with SPY. And then we're back down here now, and we're tussling with this trend line. Now I can move this trend line because the initial drawing of this was here. Now we've seen SPY break trend lines multiple times, and then it just continues doing what it's doing. The time frames still look really nice. I do feel like, though, we are at a point where we could see price action come down here and fill in this gap. We are at some major resistance in here for SPY. So on our weekly chart, I'm just going to put it on the weekly. Actually, let me go with the daily chart, because it actually pans out a little bit differently in here. So make my life easier. All right, so right through here. You don't like that, huh? Okay, I'll put you like that. That helps. Okay, so through here, let me see if I can't grab all of this noise I got going on. Grab this upper noise right there. All right, so you can see that we have met with the top side of our ascending trend line. I did do a little post on this right here, just sharing that we have hit some resistance in here for SPY, for this broadening formation in here. Actually, momentum picked up through here, so maybe not going to be as successful if we were to see a move back to the downside. But we are definitely tapping into some major resistance right now, which is why I believe we're seeing this pullback right now that looks like it's going to get the follow through on SPY. it looks like we're going to get the follow through on it. Now we have pitched it a little bit. You can see it from the lower time frames how we have pitched it a little bit, but on the lower time frames is actually the extended hours where you see that happening. Not so much here on just your general operating hours here. But major resistance hit right here for SPY. We could see price action start to roll back down some here for SPY. We don't really have a lot of places that price action could return to. Maybe on a smaller scale, we do something around this first red candle right here. Maybe on a smaller scale, we do something like that. But on a larger scale, this is where our support level would be at. So it's just in here, which I think the gap may be somewhere right about in here. And I'm going to set it on the candle top right there. All right, let me see. Not that one. Not that one. This one. No, the gap is actually a lot lower than that. But we could look right here. If we're going to see more of a rollover here for SPY. I am seeing a pullback in the tech sector right now, with the exception of Nvidia. So this is just something that we could watch out for here. But again, possibly this first candle up here around that 736, and then if we see more of a correction in text, because that's what's really pulling the market, it's going to be around about 700. But major resistance being tapped right now on SPY, still holding on to this trend line. And I did just move it, but just be aware of that with the SPY. I'm actually going to move this again because, no, actually, I'll leave it where it is. Yeah, I'll leave it like so. All right. A little pop there out of Bitcoin, but I'm not going to focus on that just yet because we got some work to do on Bitcoin. Once I can see things really starting to turn around, or once it hits one of my levels, it's actually bouncing off of the level where I got stopped at. I considered that to be an invalidation, but nonetheless, I needed to cut it right there because we didn't manage to hold the level that I went in on. All right, so let's get rid of this right here. Nvidia did report some news on a new, let's see what they got in here. New chip, I do believe that's what it was in here. I was reading, I actually didn't go through and read the article on it. Yeah, it's the Vera CPU chip was unveiled. And so NVIDIA, which, we were seeing it lose that 50% retracements, 382. Probably it was actually bouncing off of that golden pocket or something like that. Did make a reclaim in here, but it's still pretty much range bound. So I'll be looking for NVIDIA to come back in here and fill this gap for one. And if it does manage to push past the gap, it does not mean that it's still not range bound, even if it takes out this high, because we have this area up here of resistance for NVIDIA, but still very range bound. I'm actually glad to see that we did reclaim back above our diagonal trend line here, where we were initially looking for price action to hold. And if it didn't, we're just going to start back looking down here for NVIDIA, NVIDIA return. Let's see, what did I have in here? Yeah, because it's getting kind of questionable, but that is a 1 hour time frame. Let me zoom out on the 4. Let's see what the 4 hour looks like. Pretty decent on the 4 hour time frame. Boom, 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 boom. And these lines are going to move a bit depending on what chart I'm actually on. They're going to move a bit. I may indeed need to raise this one here a little bit. The last time I had to raise it or add a new one that connected from the low to this point right here to capture where NVIDIA was probably going to have a rejection from. So I may need to do that again in here and just raise this up ever so slightly. This one right here doesn't seem to have any merit anymore. So I'm going to drop this one for now. Just put that away and hide it. Let me slide this out here. Um, So I just want to make sure I get that on that top there. Let's see what we ended up doing. So we only did a mean reversion here, which means we likely bounced off of the green ribbon. Bounced off of the green ribbon. Yep. For the mean reversion, just the green ribbon bounce here. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. Like I said, still a bit range bound in here, despite the news that we got on Nvidia, and likely it could push up in here to fill this gap, or we'll probably see another rejection in here. Once we do break, mm, once we do break, I do imagine that we could at least get up here to about 317 once we do break. But right now, I don't know why this trend line is over here. I'm almost certain that we don't have reason for it to be there, unless it's just projecting off of something. Let me see. I must have a channel. No, I just got a trend line sitting in here for no reason. Like NVIDIA was, I don't know. I don't know. Let's get rid of that. Unlock it and get rid of it. That's weird. But if we do manage to get a successful breakout here for NVIDIA, I would imagine that price action could get up here to around that 317. We would just do a measured move for this pattern here. I usually like to take it from the inside, somewhere from the inside and up. I preferably will minimize the trend line and draw it out. So let me just try that real quick, and then we can see if it actually gives us some confluence in here. So this was our original trend line through here, and you can see how it said it's not respecting it anymore because we're just actually just pushing straight through that. So if I take this, I'm gonna do it from, I can respect it from here, even though it didn't tap it right here. I'm gonna respect it from right about here. Let's push. Let me turn this magnet off. I'll do it like that. And so I like to at least know that it touched. You see how I want to do this. It's gonna be so weird because we've disrespected that line so many times. I don't know if I want to put it on this line, but anyway, it's just to see what our probability could be. So let's just go from here. I'm gonna use that old resistance level in here. Yeah, so that, yeah. That gives me reason to believe that that's just a 1.618. I was already looking at something in here for NVIDIA for the extension already. So that works. But right now we are still just very range bound. The thing about NVIDIA is NVIDIA hasn't been moving as well on its own news. It's been moving other projects, but it hasn't been moving um itself. It hasn't been able to say anything that just really gives it any leverage to push much higher. And we did good when we finally did break out of this consolidation range right here, which I think that my extension is based around. No, it's based around this one over here. Okay. If I did pull another extension, let me try that also in here for NVIDIA. So I'm just going to do an extension right here off of this low here to this high. Uh-oh. We'll need that magnet again to here and back into here because that was a shallow retracement right there. And I'm gonna just do a golden pocket 786. Okay. Because this is an extended move right here. I'll take that 1.272 out. All right, so I'm gonna work off of this right here. Um, Take it a little slower since Nvidia is not moving as aggressive as some of the other tech stocks are moving. Um, yeah, we can watch for that for Nvidia. At least at 786 up there for starters. If it starts to break out of here, then maybe we'll see a reaction there, back test, and then continuation. But still very range bound, still very range bound, but looking a lot better than what I was expecting for it to do before it did manage to reclaim back above this level and start to push a little bit higher in here. I'm just going to check back on Bitcoin again. Just want to see. You can see right here, Bitcoin has been rejecting around the mean on the 15-minute time frame. So um, that's been a good place to short Bitcoin from every time it pushes up into the mean, which if you're just looking at it, of course, it's going to be right here around your 50% retracement. That's about it, which could be that it's just doing the most basic pullbacks into about a 382, something like that, maybe less. Let me just check something here on Bitcoin before I keep it moving. Okay, now I did a golden pocket, but just around the mean. So if you just watch for your mean and see if you have a Fibonacci retracement level there as well, that'll be helpful. Or, you know, just use the R mean ribbon uh, to identify that. So once we do push back up here into this area right here that we saw price action get like an accelerated move back down again, uh, we can look at possible scalp trade right here to take it down into this area right here where the 786 is located at, and not really be watching for this lower end down here. If you did take the trade yesterday, which I didn't take it, and I let you know that I didn't take it, where we started expanding here on our 4-hour time frame, we're still in this expansion right now for the 4-hour also. So this was the short here yesterday. I was looking for price action to actually just get down into sweeping the liquidity and thinking that liquidity area. But like I was saying, so many people had their eyeballs on that area now. So it likely wasn't going to carry the same weight because too many people were looking at it. But that was supposed to have been where the liquidity sweep would happen and possibly see a bounce off after that liquidity gets swept. Um, didn't work. So this doesn't look like too much, not on the 4-hour time frame, but it's actually a really decent. It was more than a 3-to-1 risk to reward move in here. So if you did take that yesterday on the expansion, kudos to you. And like I said, the 4 hour is still in an expansion, and you can see right here from the Bollinger Bands that it has not released because this is still turned to the upside. You want to at least see this curve over to start to say that momentum could be waning on this move to the downside. But we have stayed outside of standard deviation to this entire push down, which means it's not something to really be faded. I am going to take chances when we get to a support level, though. I am. I just am. Because you never know. Like you can have an idea, but you can't be for certain. And yeah. So the next place, like I said, is going to be right down in here. See if we don't hold here at the 0.816. This is the 786 right here. This is the 0.816. This is where I actually see that level of support. How I normally draw out my support and resistance levels is like so. So top side, bottom side is what you're really watching for. So my long position is going to look something like this, and my stop is going to go right below here. I'm gonna give it a good, I can do a 1. I have to look back at it and see. Yeah, I'll give it something like this. And if anything, then maybe we can come back up here and get into that liquidity, especially since we are expanding. We would need to see it dance around a little bit, but this right here could probably get taken right there. So that's a good risk to reward. 5, 5, 1 there. That is something that I will be looking to take. And let me actually drop this down a little bit because that's not entirely. 84, 48. And I am being very specific on this entry. Very. But right now, this is per continuation. This won't actually make a difference for usually you don't see a change in an expanded behavior until it can tap back into the standard one. And right now we're just so far removed from that standard one. It's freaking ridiculous. So far removed from it. Um, so without any confirmation of an additional green candle, I am going to take it here. Um, if we do manage to see another green candle come in, then I'll update you. But right now, that's what I'm looking for here for bidding. I wanted to take a look at hype also. Let me just get rid of some things before I switch us over here to take a look at Hyperliquid. Keep that one up. Because I know that we talked about the fact that we were hitting some resistance in here for Hyperliquid. And it looks like we've got a decent reaction from that resistance area for hype. We sure have, and we might be looking to turn down a little bit more, but we shall see. We shall see. Let me turn that off. Okay. So here with Hyperliquid. All right, so we hit talked about that we hit these fib levels in here. This was the this is as much as I do if you just saw on just depending on what I think the wave might be for it. But we did come up and we did tap into our ascending trend line in here, and that has held price down as resistance the same way it did for Bitcoin in October when Bitcoin topped out that work there. Now, if we do push up higher, I was sharing with you that there's a possibility of hyperliquid. It's like 101, something like that. What's the price target? I know that it is a 1.618 Fibonacci extension, but right now we are seeing some resistance here at this ascending trend line. If I put us on a daily, you can see it a lot better with that tweezer top up there. Let me just do it like this. But this is our case here for hyperliquid with the little tweezer top in there. On a retracement, I was looking at this 53 if that does happen. Now, one of the things I can say about hyperliquid is it has been rallying a lot more because of its ETF. So right here, if you recall, this right here was an ascending formation. And here, ascending formations typically they tend to break to the downside. I remember on being on the stream talking about it and saying that it still looked good to me, despite the ascending formation that it had in here. It still looked good to me. I have to put this the way I would normally draw my lines because it didn't come back to that. But hype had this ascending formation right here, which can also lead to a pump. That's something else I said on the stream as well. This can also lead to a pump sometimes. You see this right here. Um, and the thing, yes, sometimes you'll see this and you'll think it's going to drop to the downside, but it can be very misleading. And then you get the break to the upside. But nonetheless, right in here, let's see. Yep. Right here is where Hyperliquid's ETF launches. Right here, May the 11th is where it launches. And that's where you get your final little drop down right here when you don't manage to come all the way back into the trend line. And then you get this big move right here. So that ETF has a lot to do with the price of Hyperliquid pumping the way that it is. I was looking at a comparison in here of Hyperliquid versus Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus Solana. And it has been a very, very, very strong performer. A lot more inflows also into hype, obviously, because we see this massive push on it. But like I said, we are hitting some resistance in here now. I think that that's going to start to send prices back down a little bit. But right in here, you can see how I put, and this is the hype ticker right here for the 21 shares. It's THYP right here. IBIT is the most popular Bitcoin ETF. ETHA is the most popular Ethereum one, and BSOL, Bitwise is the most popular Solana one, although it's not on the NAS. Okay, you can see it's not on the NAS, but it is the most popular one. So I'm using that one. And you can see just the comparison. Now you're gonna have a lot of missing information in here because Hyperliquid, it just got listed last month. So you're just not gonna be able to compare it fully to the performance of Bitcoin or Ethereum or to Solana. But clearly Sol has had a rough freaking time. A rough freaking time. And there's just not a lot of interest right now in terms of the ETF for Solana. The chart has just been declining since he got introduced to the ETF world. It has not done well at all. Uh, you don't have any information over here thus far. You can see today's opinion 100% sale, previous opinion 100% sale. Last month on Ethereum was a 56% sale. Over the past 5 days, you can see that Hyperliquid is a plus 32%. Bitcoin a negative 575, Ethereum a negative 2.95, and Solana, while it's below Bitcoin's, is still doing very terrible because it runs so close to it. Now over the month, it looks a little bit better. 1 month right here looks a little bit better. But when you look at the chart, and you can see that there is no match. And then in here, over the past 3 months. Like it's just been an underperformer. So you've been better if you did Bitcoin, I bet, or if now you were to do Hyperliquid. But I think you really want to wait on Hyperliquid to get some sort of a pullback before you consider entering. I was listening to somebody yesterday, not listening to them, but I read a comment from someone on a different stream yesterday, and they were saying that they were thinking about selling their Solana to move it into Hyperliquid. And my thing was, why would you do that? Hyperliquid is at all-time highs right now, and you want to move your money out of Solana, which is very, very cheap right now. Even if it does go down lower, Solana is cheap right now. Solana's in a place where you want to accumulate Solana if you believe in it long term. Hyperliquid is a place where you want to wait until you get a correction to buy into it if you believe in it long term. It's not something that you want to switch your money out from because you're down on Solana. So now you're going to be down on Solana. You're going to move it over to Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is going to hit some resistance. It's going to retrace, and then you're going to be crapping on Hyperliquid because you made a boo boo. You made a boo boo. And it doesn't change the fact that Solana is the most used exchange. It is going to be used. It's right now, Solana still gets more transactions than Hyperliquid does. Period, point blank. There's not even a close comparison. So while Soul is down right now, it will come back, and they both will have their own use case. So if you're in that predicament, then hey, why sell your Solana? Hold on to your Solana, let your Solana recover, and if you no longer feel that way about it, then sell after you're back in profits or something like that. But at, not at the lows. Don't go. I sold some at around 10 120, somewhere like that. I did sell half of my Solana, but not all of it. And I did not rotate my capital into another asset. I'm sitting on that capital from where I took profits from my Solana so I can reinvest. But I know right now is not the time. I'm waiting, but rotating from Solana right now into something that is at all time highs is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Not something that you should be doing. And you most certainly don't want to be buying into the pump right now. Like you missed it. Like get a pullback. Get a pullback first. At least a 382 or a 50 or something like that, and then pick you up a little bit to trade with. But right now, you're hitting some resistance. And because it's in price discovery, you don't really know what's going to be the endpoint for it. Right now, this seems to be a place for it. And it seems like we did finish out another 5 on a smaller time frame, which I was doing it from this low right here to that. That's 1, 2, 3. Well, I did it like this. 3, 4 is how I did it. I wasn't really sure about this. So that could have been wrong right here if I did change it. God damn, that would be perfect if I did change it. Forgive my language. If I did move it, I know that that's not how I had it, but dang. Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do it like that and just leave it how I originally had it in place, which we don't have any closures above it, so I'm good with that. But yeah, Hyperliquid at resistance, looking for a pullback on it. We can start here with this push up right here. I think you'll do more than just a simple 382 50% retracement in this case. Usually you would look for something where it comes back below the low in here, or even this one right here. So 51, 53, 66 is something that I would keep my eyes on. That's your divergence point, I do believe. Let me see right here. Oh, I didn't want that to be on. So just don't pay that too much attention. That's interesting, really. Let me push to 4. I'll tell you where your mean reversion is going to come in at. Okay, so your mean reversion comes in at 69,065. So if it's not bouncing from that, which I like I said, I don't like that. That's a very shallow pullback. I do think that is going to break through that, possibly come down here into this golden pocket right here. Um, that looks more like it's somewhere around the 382. Yeah, that's around about a 382. So it might bounce a little bit right there, come back in, put in another rejection here, and then continue to push down in here. So on the 4 hour time frame, you can actually look at that mean reversion here with a little tap and a wick back above. I'm going to take this away for now. I'm going to hide this because we know that we played that part out. Only other thing I could do is add a one-to-one in here. And once it pushes past, if it pushes past a one-to-one, and we're doing something different. Um, and then on a daily, yeah, yeah. So yeah, golden pocket. So you can look for a first possible scalp at the 382, but I think that it will retrace in here a little bit more. Now I do like the way the RSI looks here on Hyperliquid for the daily time frame. It looks like it's just going to push up again, but a good pullback would be nice. So for a long position, and I'm gonna put it back on I'm gonna put it on the 4 hour. For a long, I would look at that. I'm gonna put the stop. No, put the stop under this low right here. Put the stop under this. Not that it can't take out this. You want to see it. You want to make sure you get the reaction first before you do decide you want to enter on this. And it'll probably try for this high again. So I'll leave that like it is because it'll be somewhere back in here. It could want to do that. It could. Let me see what this is right here before I do that. Okay. And let me turn that off so I can just look at price action. All right. So back test on that. Let me try one more thing here. Sorry, I was glancing back over at Bitcoin. I just want to see one other thing in here on a line basis. I just want to see what we look like on a line chart. See if that made a difference. It did not make a difference. So I just wanted to drop that down just a little bit, just in case you're somebody that likes to just um, insert yourself into a position before you get confirmation. I'll do that sometimes if I feel like I can trust it. I'm just trying to get that a little bit better. All right. I don't know what your risk is. That's um, a little over 2% right there. So I don't know what your risk level is. You should know what that is. This is just a general idea. And then if it's not going to be this right here, then like I said, I would look down here at this golden pocket for potential entry. Um, This I'm gonna have to drop it in a little bit more um, in terms of the stop. I just have to. I want to go too much further in here, but yeah, at least something like that. But you would be waiting on the reaction regardless, um, regardless of what happens. I'm just gonna put this back. I was just trying to see something there. See if we're gonna lose this little area that we're trying to use hyperliquid for support as. It should though, and at least do something like that or into here for hyperliquid. Worst case scenario, it's going to be that it takes out this liquidity down here at these lows, back into this area right here that I mentioned, which is also where it got the breakout from. So a nice little back test of that. It'd be a even better position to get into. But let's just start here for now with hyperliquid. And you'll really know with hype because it'll start back moving with Bitcoin. You'll really know because that's what they tend to do. If they're not going to make it, if they've reached a point where they've actually capped, they'll start moving with Bitcoin. That is what they do. They'll start moving with Bitcoin once again. All right. I'm gonna check back on Bitcoin, then I'm gonna push us right on back right over to I want to talk about Salesforce, and I got a couple of other things in here as well. Put this on. So you can see we're still trying to expand again here for Bitcoin. But once one of these little things right here pop out, hopefully it does take place at one of the support levels in here. That's what I'm looking for. It can reclaim back into this support level here, obviously. Like I said, this is where I took my long from. I actually did a limit order into this position right here, and it tapped me in perfectly, came up, and then it said, not today, not today. And like I said, I got stopped out right here. I thought I was good enough. On my stop loss, but apparently I wasn't. Apparently I wasn't. And the saddest thing for me would be, actually, it wouldn't be the saddest thing. The next to the saddest thing for me would be that it actually bounced from where it stops me out at and decides it wants to reverse from there. Just wanted me to know you don't get in until I say you get in, something like that. Um, Salesforce. Salesforce, because we were talking about Salesforce. What was actually I've covered SaaS as a whole and stating that SaaS was looking really strong, and this was long before I've started hearing every other YouTube talk about SaaS reversing, blah 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 blah. Um, and we were watching. This is SoFi. I didn't mean to put us on SoFi. Um, we were looking at Salesforce. We were looking at the fact that it was inside of this consolidation right here. When earnings came out, I was saying that I believe that Salesforce was going to gap to the upside. It had a lot of good information, not just in the technicals, but fundamentally, some things that I was seeing from their filings. And instead, what happens is we got a little stagnant. You saw this candle attempt to push up, and then it came down and came back up, and we danced around in here before we finally settled down. And yeah, I still believe that we were going to see this thing right here perform, and we finally got the breakout because we held the pattern formation. That was one piece of intel right there. Like even when the volatility hit after the earnings, we never broke our low. We never broke it. We never tapped it. We came close to it, but we didn't. And then voila, we stalled out. We started to consolidate right here, and we got our break to the upside here on Salesforce. Now, like I told you, I am not in Salesforce. I'm in Now. I bought Now. That's the only SaaS that I felt like buying. I don't want to invest in the other ones, but I did see the potential in Salesforce and breaking to the upside based on all of the acquiring that I could see through the SEC filings is quite a bit, insiders If insiders are buying, I want to travel with them. I want to be with the insiders. If all these insiders are buying Salesforce, why not? Why not? I know I'm going to pump their bag at the same time, but you're going to pump yours too. So nice breakout here on Salesforce. I'm really, really loving this. What am I looking for in here? Let me push us out on a 24-hour. I know I have my levels in here. I'm hoping I have my levels in here. I may have I did the bare minimum technical analysis on Salesforce, the bare minimum. As you can see, I don't even have um, levels in here for it. So let me put us on a monthly time frame here for Salesforce so I can see what we're working with. And yes, I did consider this initially until I got into the filings, and then it was like, no, 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 no. Let's reassess that. Why don't I have something right here? That's weird. It's weird that I didn't have a line right there. I always have a line. It's weird that I don't have a line right there. I did not have my line right there. That's weird. I would have never left this space open like this. Dang. How could I do that? I have no idea. How could I do that? All right, so first things first, we can see that we're already pushing into a resistance area right here for Salesforce. We're going to need to get past this. Which we will. We will. Don't want to put that out too far. We will get past that. And then once we get past here, I'm going to be looking up here. So this is going to be my area of interest right now for Salesforce. It's going to be right here. I'm going to do the bare minimum today, and then I will come in later because it's going to stay on my watch list. No, it's not even actually on my watch list. I don't think it is because we've already got the breakout, in my opinion. Are you too late? Probably not. Right now, I'm going to be looking for this 272 in here. Seems to be a good place for price to actually push up into. But currently hitting some resistance in here. You do have this gap down below. We'll see if we can't fill in this gap in here for possible entry, and then a continuation up here for Salesforce. This is a monthly time frame, so let's see. We already rejected from that a little bit. Let me put us back on the 4-hour. Yeah, so we didn't quite tap it. It looks like we tapped it, but we didn't quite tap it. But that would have been the resistance area right there for us. And again, like I said, I'll be looking for, once we do get through that point for Salesforce, I'll be looking for 272 to be the next target in here. This much right here looks like it was a measured breakout move right here. Let me fix that. Not exactly. It would have been around this little liquidity area, liquidity right here. This little liquidity right here. So I do say this is a good long-term hold, at least until you get up into here. Then we can see what changes at that point. But it is good for a runner at least up to that 270. 272 there. That 272 looks really nice for Salesforce. And that came off of my 24. That was something else that I was looking at the time when we were in here for Salesforce. And you can see we're already starting to flip, baby. Yes. Yes. Already starting to flip in here. Let's see if we can't keep that adrenaline going right here on this flip for Salesforce from this red to gray to green. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was watching this right here, and this is sending through here because we had the bullish divvies in here for Salesforce. And like I said, when I went through the filings, and I did share that here on the exchange as well, insiders buying. Like, why not? Why not? And just a bit of an overreaction in here on earnings, but why not? I'm going to put an extension on this. It's actually a little bit too tight in here, so I may have to come back and do another extension on it because it is a little bit too close for comfort for me right now. Doesn't matter if I do this one either because it's so close, it doesn't really matter. So that's about to be a 1.618 right there here where we have our resistance level at. But we definitely are not high enough right now. We would have to push up way more than what we are. So a little bit of a higher low in here. Then I'm going to redraw this out. So I actually don't like that. So yeah, once we get a higher low in here, not the higher lows you see right here, but a new higher low in here, then I can see how that matches up with what I'm looking at up here for that 272. 272 for Salesforce. Let me just check and make sure that there was nothing else in here that needed to be said on CRM. Make sure there's no new information in here that I need to share with you. Let's see. I don't really see anything that I need to cover. So no, was after earnings. We did already cover the earnings report and all of that good stuff, and everything else I covered the day of earnings. So nothing. I don't see anything here that's important for me to look at. I see Bitcoin trying. I see Bitcoin trying to hold um, this little level from where I got stopped out at. Yep, all we really need to do is reclaim back above this level right here in the moment. Reclaim above this. We'll see if we're still going to do another rejection in here. But I like this because we were trying to push price action down and we're coming back to the range in which we were attempting to accelerate price action to the downside. I think anything's changed in here with that 4 hour expansion. Not yet, not yet, but it is. No, I think I may have actually looked at that from here. Uh, no, what I did was an ATR stop loss, and it still got hit. That's what I did. An ATR stop loss, and it didn't make a difference. Trying to reject from that. Okay. Let me put this back over here. Oh, I just want to clarify something too. Yesterday, I was talking about Bitcoin and I was looking at the SEC filings. And what happened was, and I wasn't feeling well too, but besides all of that, what happened was I was looking at this stock on Friday and I actually did a post on this stock. The stock is Accenture. So you do see it on my thumbnail, Accenture. This is on my watch list right now. So it did not refresh the information that I was trying to find. And I ended up talking about Accenture instead. And I'm like, they're buying, which is why I ended up buying Accenture because, again, the insider buying. But Accenture is on my watch list. We're going to take a look at Accenture. We're going to take a look at ELF. ELF is on my watch list also. And we're also going to take a look at Home Depot. Because one thing you're always going to need is a Home Depot, right? You're always going to need a hardware store you're going to need it. Lumber, you're going to need it. House repairs, you're gonna need it. So Home Depot is a great stock. It's seeing quite a bit of a pullback right now. We're going to look at where that could get to and potential buy entries on that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move into watch list. And again, Accenture. Oh, before I do that too, let me just talk about the Michael Saylor sale. Now, everybody has got their panties in the wad about the Michael Saylor sale. Listen, it's 32 Bitcoin. It's $2.5 million. You know how much this dude owns? He has a lot. Okay, he sold 32 freaking Bitcoins, and and his company also announced that they would be selling some. And it's for dividends. But it's 32 freaking Bitcoin, and he sold it last week. And you got some YouTube channels doing thumbnails yesterday talking about how Saylor sold like as if it what happened yesterday. He did not sell yesterday. He sold last week. Michael Saylor sold last week. Michael Saylor sold last week and he sold right in here. This is where he sold at. Right in here. Remember this wick right here trying to come up and take the liquidity? And all I've been like is we're gonna get into this liquidity, and then Michael Saylor sells, and he sells right in here, right here. So if you read, and I posted it yesterday too because it was really annoying going through and just seeing YouTubers kind of convince their followers that it happened then. So you can see right here. So they don't have to file it the same day that they sell. So when people see the filing, or sometimes they don't even read the filing, most of the time they don't read the file. They just know that some other YouTuber said it. So now I'm gonna talk about it. And I don't know anything about it. I'm just gonna put it in my thumbnail. He sold. Yeah, he sold, but he sold last week. And it tells you right here. It was during last week's period, May 26th to May 31st. And his average sale price was 77,000. That was up there at the rejection point. That was not yesterday. And it was 32 BTC and it was $2.5 million worth of Bitcoin. That's what it was. That's what it was. And now Michael's strategy, you can see as of his sale, his average, his aggregate BTC holding 843,706. His value for his holdings. Amazing. I'm just glad that he sold above his average purchase price. Let me just say that. I'm just glad he didn't sell any at a loss. He sold above his average purchase price. So at least he's doing that part right. Because we know seller would buy tops all the time. He came really close to selling a low, really close. But this is where he sold, and he sold last week. It wasn't yesterday. Let's move on. Let's get past that. Let's stop treating it like it was something that took place yesterday. It wasn't. It wasn't. But that's what you get. That's the information you get when YouTubers just follow each other's rhetoric and don't do their due diligence. You get misinformation. All right. Let's take a look at this. Accenture. So I'm gonna cover with you why I chose to buy this. Now I didn't see it until late because I was actually just doing a little scheming, scamming through the charts and all of that good stuff. I put some notes in here when I did post on it. Those were some of the things that I talked about in here. I mentioned the golden pocket pullback, golden pocket retracement, and an ascending trend line in here with your VWAP just below, and you had this huge order block. You see that beautiful freaking bottom and tail candle in here. Ooh, baby. So I bought. I bought as soon as I realized that this is what's happening. I posted on it. This looks like a great buy. And then I went back and I posted an actual chart. And I gave you some things that you could come in here and look at. I'm missing something right here. I'm missing one of my notes. Oh boy. It would be impossible for me to be missing that note though, because unless I just posted it like that, I just printed one too many emojis. Let me just double check on that post. I feel like I left something out. No, when I posted it, it didn't look like this. Hold on. Got a golden pocket, I order block. Oh, okay, they just got off balance. Okay, because I moved the chart. I'm like, what? Okay, I was trying. All right, figure that out. Mystery solved. Mystery solved. But this is Accenture. So I did go through and I did look at, like I was saying with Accenture. Um, It seems like we got something new yesterday. Hold on, let me skim through this before I put you over here on it. I just want to see what we're talking about right here. So the employee stock plan purchase. Okay. Sebastian Niles. I don't think that that's anything important right there. Um, they do have our earnings coming up on the 18th. So just be aware of that. I'm gonna have to do their earnings report tomorrow, their previous one, with you, because for me to I haven't highlighted anything out of this. I did skim through it. I really didn't highlight anything out of it. I didn't find that there were any concerns when I did go through it. So, but I have not highlighted anything off of it just yet. I just wanted to talk about the technicals on it with you today, and just letting you know why I feel like this one right here could be a good buy. It's a good company. It really is. It's a good company, and it is attempting to put in a nice reversal in here. So, and I bought again. I bought it last. I bought it Friday. I bought it on Friday. So I'm already in a decent bit of profits on Accenture. We'll look where it can come back to, and I'll cover it tomorrow. And I will get into their previous earnings report with you, and I will also get into some of the other things in here. Let me put this on a daily chart real quick. Let's see my 4:30. Yep, right here. I just want to make a reference on this candle. This candle right here. Ooh, forgot I was using all caps already. And I'm a slow typer. It's really beautiful the way that lined up with where we came back on that back test right there before this continuation. Back test on this order block right now. Um, do have all of my I did do the technical, the pivots and all that good stuff on this one right here. So I didn't skimp on this one as much on the technicals as I did with Salesforce. Uh, but this is Accenture. I think it's going to be a really good investment right now. And you can see how well it performed historically in the past, where it came from. I'm actually not going to be looking for that right now. I will be looking back towards these lows in here, right around these lows, right through here for retracement into it, and then I would decide. It just depends on how quickly this could happen right here. How quickly could that happen? So it'll be something right in here. I do have it all marked out, but it would be something right in there. Good old Elfie Elfie. So I was talking to you about this one right here last week as well. I told you that I wasn't sure about buying into it just yet because I do have areas in here of interest for it that I just feel like price action could come back to. It hasn't tapped into those just yet. It is holding on into this order block right here. You can see the rejection here from the upside. I did put a couple of notes in here. Right here that hasn't made a difference for F right now. Some of the other stuff that I was looking at here with F2 was to sell of securities. Now, the last one that was listed for F, that person has already sold. And something that I continue to say is a lot of times when they do file their 144 for their sell of securities, generally they're selling at the same time that they're filing that. Occasionally, you'll find that they won't be, but the report generally, the form 4 that they file to let you know, hey, it's not just an intent to sell anymore. I've actually sold. It comes out about 2 days later. On average, it's about 2 days later. But on average, also, like I said, when they normally file their Social Security form, which is a Form 144, they're typically selling at the same time. Okay. So I was seeing that in here for ELF. So I didn't want to rush into anything right in here. Either because I could see that the actual day that I was talking about it was on the oh, I can't remember what day it actually was, but I remember saying that to you. More than likely, they've already sold, and so I didn't want to just really buy into here right now when I could see that there is a possibility of something a little bit lower. This could end up being an inverse head and shoulders in here. Um, Everybody has to do what's best for them, so you just have to think about that. Everybody has to do what's best for them. I really like what I have in here, which is price action potentially coming down here into this trend line right here, which is also going to match up with the extension level to the downside for that golden pocket tap. At least that based on what I was seeing here in the chart off of this rejection right here. This is an extension, and it looked to me as if well, I couldn't really say that that was what it was. I really couldn't say that that's what it was. Let me put it on the 20. Was it a 24-hour that I was? Let me see what happened when I looked at it on 24-hour. Yeah. So from a 24-hour view, and this came really close in here, but no violation. For me, I envisioned this. Hold on. There we go. I was about to say, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so for me personally, I want to see this be tapped personally. And it matched perfectly with everything that I'm looking at in here. And so that's where my extension is coming from the high to the low, back into here, and then down into the golden pocket. That's a general for what I like to look for on a five wave move. That's my general. You can see how it worked over here, but this is my general. So I would like to see it. It would have to take out this low. It came close enough to doing it already. Take out this low and hit in here, and then I could really feel more comfortable with buying. I'm gonna have it lingering over my head um, if I start to load up on Elf right here. It's still a good place, so you have to think about that. It's still a good place. And it's not one of those things where I just have to do it. Now, if it starts to move and break out of here, then sure, have a later entry. At least I have some sort of confirmation that I'm wrong about price action being able to get down here. But it's gonna have I really need for it to prove to me that I'm wrong about it coming down here and back testing this trend line right here. I also think that when I looked at, I'm not sure. Let me take a look here. I think I may have had no merit when I looked at the VWAPs. I didn't. When I looked at VWAP, I didn't have anything really there. So that was out of the question. I may have had something on the extended move down here towards that, towards this golden pocket, but I tend to get this right here. So that's what I would like to see is for price action to actually come in and hit this trend line, this golden pocket level right here. And then if it's not going to be that, then it'll probably be this right here. But right now, I just don't have the details that I'm looking for here in ELF chart. I don't have it right now. I just don't have it right now. But like I said, if ELF does decide to, and some it's some things that I like a little bit, and there are things that I like a lot. ELF is just one of those where I like it a little bit because I haven't had any problems wanting to buy any of the other stocks that I've seen reach these levels of lows. I felt that same way about SoFi, whether or not I wanted to buy it at the level that it was at. And I caved in and I did end up buying SoFi um, at the level that I wasn't really interested in. I caved in and I bought because I found something else in the chart. But this one, I don't mind letting it prove to me. Um, Even with the later entry, I don't mind letting it prove, having it prove to me. And that's what I need. I'm gonna change this, but I just want to. It failed right here. Tried to push up, got the swing failure. Drop, 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 drop. Finally breaks up again. And this is where I'm starting to see the selling. This is actually where the sale was actually it was this day right here. It was this day. So it was the prior day following that wick with that sale, intent to sell right here. I'm surprised I didn't put a notation in here on it, which it doesn't always affect price action, but when something is already rolling over like that, then I'm going to assume that any selling that takes place will have some sort of an impact. It's about 7,714 shares were sold right here. Market value was about $434,000 roughly. I'm leaving off some of the remaining, but I'm just rounding it off. It's about $434,000. This person still has a ton, and I think that well, you can see it right here. This person still has a ton, and that's fine because I mean that's what you have when you work for the company, right? You have a ton of shares, so it's not the end of the world. I haven't seen anything new. Um, I haven't seen anything new being reported or anything like that. But seriously though, I just feel like it could still do this, and I don't want to. That's an extra $10 being shaved off. Or from the day that I was talking about it, I think price was right in here, and I was like, eh, I don't know about, I don't know, but it's on my radar. It's on the watch list. We're gonna come back and revisit this one right here again. but this is on my watch list right now, so I will repeatedly talk about it, at least until I can see us get down here to this golden pocket extension to complete my wave 5. It's mine. At least there or here. That's a big difference. That's just a big difference. So I don't want to take the risk on this. But um there's a dude named Jeremy. Um I don't I don't know how to pronounce Jeremy's last name. And I'll share his details again later, but I'll share his details, his actual details later. I've shared it on the channel before. He did a really good explanation on ELF on one of his latest videos that he just did. He explains it very well, so you could go over and watch that video. He talks about um, some of the brands that they're working with. This new line that has a wait list, and Justin Bieber's wife Haley Bieber is actually behind that one, or the face of that. So you have to really check that one out. Let me change this. I just wanted to see. Let me see if this is gonna make sense if I move it though. No, I'm gonna leave it as it is. That makes more sense than me moving it right now. So once it breaks, if it breaks this right here, then I'll know that this potential Head and Shoulders is not going to hold. But if it doesn't break it, then yeah, like I said, you might got a Head and Shoulders right here for for this. And it looks like it did get above. Looks like it did get above. Let me see what the formation is looking like. Let me turn that off and let me turn this on. Yeah, I could see that it was rejecting around the mean as it did. See the mean rejection right there where it didn't hold a mean. And then this right here didn't show that it had any strength anyway. Was a little space. And then here, we actually reject the mean again right here, but we're trying to hold. So we could actually see us come, like I said, they have to get back up outside this box right here. That's going to put it back above this mean, back above the mean at 57.89. So if that happens, then I'll just be later into getting into it, and that's just all to it. I'll be later into getting into it, but I'll feel a little bit different about taking that entry than I will right here, because feeling like it can still drop down into here. But it's holding, it's holding. So that's what you got here on Elf. So you get to decide. If I zoom out, I know it looks a lot more decent. It looks a lot more decent in here. Um, just give it some time. I'm not appreciating all the wicks. I'm really not appreciating all the wicks, but on the watch list nonetheless. Bitcoin still dancing, holding on to my stop loss area, so nothing to see there. HD, HD. Where did I put my Home Depot at? Oh no, it wouldn't be all the way down there. Come on, man, come on. Walmart is just tumbling, but Walmart is a good one. Almost. Why isn't home? Okay, I tell you what, HD. Let me just stop going through the. Let's just do it like this. Know if you recall with Home Depot, I was actually looking for a retracement into this lightly shaded trend line you see right here. I knew that we had already dropped the VWAP and we got our first rejection off of that VWAP last week. So it's still a chance that we could see this tap in here for it. This is a more that's a much larger correction for it. But if we're going to continue to respect these lows in here, then this is what I'm looking for on Home Depot. Let me see. Let me put this on a monthly time frame for a sec. go ahead and take that away. Let's look at this scenario right here. So it did reclaim this one time here on this monthly, but really and truly, I like this line right here. This is actually just a line chart connection for Home Depot. I think that that's what I did in here, unless it was my initial. Yeah, yeah. So I did a line chart connection in here. I kind of felt like this was probably gonna. It's my last resort move here for Home Depot, and I'm just kind of feeling like it might be a little bit too much of a pullback for Home Depot. Not that I would be upset with it if it did do it, because one thing about it is this stock is going to return. That's one thing about it. It is going to return. So, and I hate to say it like that because there's always lows. there's always there's always lows. But this is roughly what I was looking at in here for Home Depot. Yeah, I did see this, but this is a different set of ribbons, um, and this usually doesn't. Okay, Bitcoin. All right, this usually doesn't. I usually don't really play into the narrative of this one right here, but since I did notice it the last time it came close to it, it reversed from there. And so we're just kind of back at it in here now. I think that I looked at something else in here too. You can see how, I mean, housing has been, but for the most part, I mean, look at Home Depot, man. Look at Home Depot. Look at it. And then their next earnings is coming up in August. No, yep, August. Coming up in August. So we're at, hopefully it will come back down into here. Hopefully it will eat back into some of this wick bottom right here, come back into here for entry. But if you're interested in Home Depot, I do feel like right in here at this zone right here is a good place to pick it up. That's 287 to 270. Right in here is a good place to pick it up. If we can just eat into some of this wick right here coming back in, that'd be great. If we don't, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't look to jump into it too quickly because it could just come back into here right about this low right here and then see a rejection. Could do that. So um and I think I have all of this. No, I chose differently this time. I decided I wasn't going to put a whole bunch of price points out here and just did the zones instead. Um, but even with that, this one would have showed up and it didn't. Oh, that's because I did everything to my left, more than likely. So this is what I like for Home Depot. Again, back into here, it's a lot better of a price than, wanting to pay pre-market. What, 310 is much better than wanting to pay that, and I think that we can get that right there. Doom, 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 doom. That was something finished, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, that was something finished. So with that said, let's do this. And that was the 1-to-1 right there that we did manage to wick back above. I don't know what just happened. It's like it flashed off for a second there. I do apologize. I don't know what's going on here lately. This morning I got up and my two monitors that I have would not turn on. The only thing that was turning on, of course, was my laptop. And the day before, yesterday it kept doing this flashing thing yesterday. And actually yesterday morning before I started the stream, the PC was turning itself on. Everything was turning itself on. I'm like, I know I usually get up at this time and turn on my PC, so I believe in that kind of stuff. I'm just saying I believe in that kind of stuff. But yesterday morning, um my PC started doing stuff on its own, like trying to come on at the time where I usually get up and touch it. So yeah, I was a little. Hey, why crypto YT? The gold is in. Good morning. My liquidation on BTC is at 66.7. Am I in danger? It sounds like you really good. It sounds like you're gonna be doing good. It's the most thread. Yeah. I'm gonna need for you to make sure that I'm saying that right, because I feel like I be butchering it. I love and appreciate you so much. I really do love and appreciate you so much. I think you're gonna be. Hold on. You say your liquidation. Oh, your liquidation. Hold on. Hold on. Hold up. You're not gonna ride your position to your liquidation. You're gonna give yourself a stop loss. Okay, that's number one. You don't. Your liquidation level is never gonna be your stop loss ever. Don't ever let that be your stop loss. Live to fight another day. Okay, live to make another trade, but don't let that be your stop loss at any point. Because then you have to worry about will price make it all the way back up to where you entered at. What your average price is, will price actually get back to there? Even if it doesn't drop into 66,000 point seven immediately, it may not get back to wherever your entry is. It could fall short of that and then reverse and continue down. So um yeah, you want to kill that. I was just saying earlier, I took an entry right here and I got stopped out because we're still expanding on that 4 hour time frame. I can show you where I took my entry at. And it sucks getting stopped out, but it sucks even more when you're it sucks even more when you lose that kind of money. So I lost on my position right here. So I entered I set a limit order right here. It bounced into profit for a short period of time. It didn't really get anywhere. I did not take in any initial profits out of it at all. When it was a little bit successful for me, I didn't take anything out. And yeah, I just set my stop loss on it. So bummer on that one. It is what it is. So now I'm waiting. I'm looking down here for my entry. So I'm just looking for it to come into one of my levels right here, either the top side or the bottom side, which is all I'm looking at, the top and the bottom, even though I draw a box and see how it reacts right there. Um, I'm doing it prematurely again because, like I said, when you look at like everybody who was excited about this pop right here, which was a 3 month level of support, I know that because I had a long position set up on it that I did not take, and I actually hid it from you guys. Hold on, I didn't share it at the time, but it's right here. So put this on. No, actually, it was a daily. It was a hold on. Where's my stuff at? No, 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 no. It was this. Yeah, it was this one right here. So this reaction right here was the actual 3 month level, and this was the daily stuff in here, where we dropped into, and then we saw that little pop in here. So it's a daily, but I didn't take any of that. And the next level really comes in down here at 67,507 on a monthly scale. This would be the monthly level right here. 67,507 is the monthly level right there. Now, when I flip you over here, you'll see all the noise that I'm tracking, all of the noise that I'm using in here for those larger time frames. That's a lot of freaking noise. That's why I had to put it on the 15. That's why I didn't share it either. But I had let me make sure that that was the right level. Let me make sure, as I know. Um, no, it wasn't. It was actually supposed to have been right here. So I was wrong. But I did not take it. I did not take it. I actually made that a stop instead of a entry. That was the first one right there, and you can see how that went. And then this was going to be the next one off of that 3 month level right there. And I ended up using this as a stop, which it bounced a little bit, but it didn't work out. We're still expanding on the 4 hour time frame, but I didn't enter that. I waited for daily my next daily level to get hit for the liquidity to be taken was all it was. And I was saying that if the liquidity got taken, then this right here would probably be where price action could see a reaction from. It didn't work. It didn't work. Oh, I didn't even put you on the thing. Sorry. Sorry. Did I even show you my P&L? I don't know if I showed you my P&L now. I don't know. I was sharing that was my loss right here because I entered right here on this low. I set a limit order up and we got a reaction right here, but then it failed and I didn't take anything out on the initial reaction. I just set my stop loss in place. I call myself doing a ATR stop loss, and we've been holding where I got stopped out at, which is right here, which is exactly right in here. So crazy, crazy. So I'm not looking to re-enter, of course, not right here. So either price action is going to come back into the support level here, or it's going to drop down lower into where the 786 is, which is where the next support level would come in at. And then the most important level is going to be down into here. So this is where you would be looking to get liquidated if you don't have your stop loss in place. And please, please, please have your stop loss in place so you're not getting liquidated. Like, already have your stop loss in place. Please already have your stop loss in place. Remember, yesterday I ended up adding onto here. Um, but it's such a, and then I got stopped out on that one. It's such an overreaction right now, in my opinion. And I know that the break of this trend line right here, I didn't even attempt to, like I said, you saw me with the buy order because I was looking at all of this, but I didn't even attempt it. I did not even attempt it just because we're still rolling. When we got rejected here for one afterwards. But before then, you could see here. So it was like, I need for liquidity to be grabbed, see if we can get a good reaction after that happens. Initially, there was this, but yeah, I waited for my level to be hit. I entered, and we're still rolling. We're still outside of standard deviation. That's why it's still red, because we're still outside of standard deviation. Two, we haven't even made an attempt to come back and touch standard deviation one. That's how bearish it is right now. We haven't even made an attempt to come back up to touch standard deviation one. At least over here, you can see that price action came up and flipped to the inside of standard deviation two, and then managed to come into standard deviation one. And then we started this squeeze, and this looked like it was just going to break to the upside, and it just didn't do it. So it just didn't do it. It just didn't do it. Yeah, this looks bad. This looks really bad. It's not even coming back up. into standard deviation. Two, it's not doing any of that right now. So this looks terrible, terrible. The Bollinger at the top is still pointing to the upside. That means that it's still aggressively selling. It's still aggressively selling. This two might be, this one is flattening out right in here a little bit, but that two is still pointing to the upside. Which looks like garbage. I'm not even concerned about the trend line break, to be honest with you. I still don't feel like this is a bear flag. I'm not saying that it can't drop as much as a bear flag can drop. I'm just saying that I don't consider this to be a bear flag. We spent too much time going sideways in this right here for me to think that this is still a bear flag. And then you look at the formation on it, it just looks tacky for a bear flag. But I know everybody's going to have their opinion on it. And like I said, down here where you're looking at your liquidation level at is the most important level right in here. This is the most important level because you can see how many times we came back into it and we respected it. So um, if that fails, well, what used to be your liquidation level? Because I know you're going to go in and put a stop loss. I know you are. I know you are. Take the L now. Take the L now. If you're already down, take the L now. This is the most important place where we've seen price react multiple times. It is here. I don't even need to do, like, I really, sometimes I feel like the VWAP, not the VWAP, but the point of control stuff be messing me up. I just rather look at my levels, to be honest with you. Um, this is the most important area right here. Most important area. There really wasn't a lot right here, but the liquidity was something that I was looking at. The liquidity was something I was looking at. And we got that. So we drop in here. We snatch up this liquidity right here, possibly right here. But I am looking at, that. So we'll see how that goes. See if this can't be flipped into some sort of support right here. But it's a rough place. It's a rough place for price action to be because it's not. And the 786 again, the 786 is right here also. So psychological level also that if I were looking at the actual fixed range, it surrounds itself with this level right here. I'm gonna give her a go right here, right here. But yeah, please set your stop. Please set your stop. And even if I stretch this out, because this is drawn just on what the range was before we got the breakout. Even if I stretch this out, it still does nothing for me. It would have to be, it's gonna either have to be this in here. See if we can't flip this prior resistance into support. So I'm gonna give her a shot right there, and then I'm gonna give her another shot, like I said, right here. Which looks different as a zone. It looks different as a zone in here. I can't remember how I did it as a zone. I would have to go back over and take a look at it. But yeah, this ain't looking good. Then you can see your concentration right in here. This is your concentration right in here. Can actually drop it down to this one. I chose this because we got the most aggressive push in price action up there. Got the most aggressive push from there. So that's why I chose that. And then this basically covers, like I was just highlighting these areas right in here from this consolidation right in here. And you can see the volume node that was pointing out right here also into this zone. I really don't care about the VRVP because support and resistance levels are always going to line up with wherever that volume is coming in at. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. I guess I should do away with this because we're not coming back here. And I don't know if you noticed on that long position that I did not put that second one up to here. I have to give this up because I was absolutely wrong. And I did say that yesterday. I was wrong on my timing for when that daily time frame was going to turn around. It looked like it was going to happen. It did not happen. I I was just wrong. I was wrong on that. And I don't blame Michael Seller for selling last week. I don't blame him. It was only 2.5 mil. Probably see that all the time. It just is what it is. It is what it is. I was saying the week before though, like 2 weeks before that, that June was showing that we had a lot of put activity. And we've seen a lot of outflows in the ETF, a lot of outflows in IBIT ETF. So that's one thing. But June was showing that it was going to be heavy on puts. We had already flipped gamma short, so dealers were likely going. You're gonna see a lot of volatility in price action, and dealers were net short. And that was it. Like dealers were net short, but I did see an opportunity for a bounce up here to take out that liquidity, and it looked like that daily was gonna do it. And then the daily has just been walking the line, and that's it. But that's why I continue to look for this long entry, as opposed to me not taking the short. I mean, yeah, the other short that presented itself, I didn't take that, and it just, I mean, it looks pretty rough. But as we push down, we are going to get closer, and I shared this with you yesterday. As we push down, forget about this trend line right here for a second. As we push down, and forget about all of this. Yeah, the anchor VWAP in here somewhere. Let me turn all of that off. Um, that was the failed expansion. Um, as we do push in here, let's see if we can't get something right here. I mean, I know that's close to this low right here. I get that. And that VWAP is right here. Um, and the insanity of this VWAP working again would be crazy because it's coming from here. You're only going to be able to see it if you're using the index chart. Because if you were to use like Binance chart or one of those other ones, you're not going to be able to see this. This VWAP isn't going to work. Okay, so you have to be on index. I've already looked at it from Binance stance. So if I was doing it here from Binance, Just wanted to be sure. You can see where it comes in at. It doesn't matter if I do that one or if I do this one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't come in underneath here. So you're really going to have to use the index chart to get that VWAP showing you that we got that bounce the first time from here close to the bottom side of the channel, but not actually tapping into it. So this time I'm wondering if we'll come back into it and we'll actually tap it and hold here instead of doing some of these numbers right here where we're breaking outside of this channel and we're at 50,000 or some of the numbers like 35,000. I wonder about that. So we'll see. And you notice on the other Bitcoin chart, what I did was with the channel. I did this first. Actually, let me fix that so it picks all of that up. Actually, I'm gonna put it back here. I'm gonna put it back here for a minute. I did how it was showing as a channel prior. By connecting to the 2021 high and then dropping it into here. Could move that a little bit, but I just set it on that because I set it on the other one on the Binance chart the same way. And then you can see how it did, like right here, it came close, it didn't tap it, it pushed up, it came back, it actually tapped it. It didn't actually work. It did break down below here. So I'm not saying that that can't happen, that it can't break down. It can. And this isn't that old. This isn't that old. This is just from the start of our 2022 rally right here. So it's not that old. It's not old enough. But if it does come back down here to this trend line, or maybe it even respects this VWAP one more time, respected this VWAP right here, respected this VWAP right here. Maybe it respects this VWAP just one more time and manages to hold. For just a tip right there if it's going to hit VWAP. If not, to that trend line right there. It's something that I would like to see, as opposed to, like I said, trading well outside of this. If it does do something, let me see what this did. I can tell you if I did. Let me see where that's going, and then let me see where this one is going. Which means that this may have been more of a 1.5, maybe. Close 1.5 right here. That actually tapped on a 1.5, but all of this did dip below this 1.5. Okay, so let's do that with the current one. Let's give it at least that much extra overlap. Let me see what that looks like. Why does it seem like it's so much more right now, though? It's so much more. Man, no. Can you give me that? No, I don't even want to think about that. So I'm gonna have to come back to this thought. I'm gonna have to come back to this thought later. I'm not feeling that right now. I just really want this to hold and be able to actually bounce away from it. We'll see. It is legit. It's not the same as when I did the parallel from here to this bottom. It's not the same because this right here actually has two touches on it at the lower end. It has two touches, which means it is a defined trend line. and we did sniff pretty close to it right in here. So it does have the touches to call it an actual channel line. This didn't get the touches until up here. So it had no respect for it. I think it did touch it like right into here. It had no respect for that because it wasn't a defined trend line. But this right here is actually literally a defined trend line. Not as old as this one, obviously, but it's still a defined trend line. And the other thing would just be the standard diagonal instead. Just this diagonal trend line right here. Which everything is in hindsight. What was that? Look at that BS. Not that we didn't have the top figured out, but I'm just saying, look at that BS. People be hating on trend lines. Them dang on trend lines be working. They literally work. I think that matches. Nah, that matches up with something else. But that stuff, actually, that trend lines really do work though. They do. Dang, that was a pretty. But then you end up looking like just a bunch of trend lines end up being everywhere, all over your chart, everywhere, here, there, everywhere. Crazy. I know that we back tested on this one right here because I deleted that one. I think that we had back tested on that. I'm gonna leave that there. I like that, so I'm gonna leave that there. I think we had back tested on our. No, we didn't. I could have sworn we had back tested on this breakdown right here, but it turns out that we didn't. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this just like this, and we'll see. I don't want that though. I really don't want that. We've already broken that. Hmm. Bitcoin still floating around. This is where my stop was at since it didn't disappear. I'm gonna see if I can't sync it in here. It's showing on my other screen. So my stop loss is right here, and we're dancing around where I put my stop loss at. Well, this is the one for Binance. I've already deleted the one from over here. Yep, I already deleted the one from over here. This is the no, it's not. No, it's not. Never mind. That's old. Let me see if this deleted the stuff that I put in here. It did. It deleted everything that I put in here earlier this morning. Where we at on CME? Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Look at the gaps that we have in here. Let me see. We're doing a little gap up. A small common gap. Put it on a 4-hour. We've already done this. What do we have? We have this one, which comes in. Let me see it from a daily. This comes in where I'm looking at right now with Bitcoin. What I was saying about, I can't really see unless I do this. It looks a slight different than Bitcoin chart because it is going to be a little bit different from Bitcoin chart. But um, actually, without me doing that, the same liquidity being swept right here is basically what I was looking at on the Bitcoin chart. I was pointing this out here around about where the lines are, the support levels are. And I'm saying that this little sweep right here, so that could match up with this gap being filled. So if you can't see that, let me just uh, so you see how this wick is right here. So I'm looking for that. Once we drop down into here, if it's not the, I mean, I won't know until we get here what the reaction is going to be like. I just know that I'm going to be looking right here between these, this number and this number right here. If it comes into that, I just know that that's what I'll be looking for. Um, but I'm going to factor in this little candle wick low right here as a possible liquidity grab along with this. And if I see a nice reaction off of that, then I'm going to go ahead and take the entry. I'm not going to limit into this one. I limited into this one because I knew that we were already taking that, but I'm not going to limit into this right here. I'm going to wait for the reaction on this right here. Um, Palo Alto is reporting earnings today. I know DG actually reports before the bell. They may have already done so. And then there is let me look over here. There's also Ulta Beauty reporting, so just something to be aware of. And those are the three really. Palo Alto, because I did pick up some shares of that. I told you that I sold who did I sell? Because I've been on a selling. No, no, no. Um no, it wasn't. I never bought Salesforce. It wasn't Salesforce. I just like Salesforce charts enough. No, I still got my service now. Um, who did I buy? And they pumped, and then I sold them. Who was it? Um, where is it at? Why don't I see? Snow? Snow. I had sold Snow because I bought Snow a while back, a couple of weeks ago. I had, well, I shared it here on the channel too. When I did buy Snow, and Snow had popped up. It was when I sold it, it was actually just below this resistance right here at the gap. So now we're coming back up into here. I'm not here to cover Snow today, even though it is coming into another area that might act as some sort of resistance in here. It worked across here. May want to adjust this right here and push it into here. Really don't see a reason for this to actually work in here because the it looks like it would just simply try to get up in here into this 325 level, but let's see what happens because there's nothing in between here as far as I'm concerned for. But anyway, I sold this. I sold it. When it was dancing around in here, I sold it. And then, of course, it pushed up. It's already tapped into that. Sorry, it has actually already tapped into this right here. Um, let me get that trend line to follow along. I know I'm not here to talk about it. I know that. Let me go all intervals in here. But let me see if that still. I would have to move that to there to account for the after hours noise. And put this on 24 so I can stop dragging it everywhere. Okay. I mean, but you're already seeing the reaction around the next level that was in here for it. But yeah, I sold it right in here. And from here, I picked up Palo Alto, which was a good move. You would think, and I was saying that I broke my rules in here, picking up Palo Alto, but they are reporting earnings today. It's going to be after hours, um, and it was a good move. It was a good move for Palo. It was after we got past, after we created this doji candle right here and got above this resistance right here that I took my entry on it. So it looked like it moved a lot more than snow so far. I did put an extension in here on it, looking to see where it might give me a bit of a problem at. And you can see we have hit our golden pocket in here. So I'm gonna put it on the 4 hour. So you can see how much better it looked. This was where we got the sale order in. This is where I posted on X and said, hey, we hitting some resistance. And you can see that trend line that was through here for it also. And if you had to drop the fresh trend across here, you would have seen that it was rejected from there. But I deleted that line now because we broke back through the top line that I had in here. Also, we broke through that. So I deleted that. And yeah, after that, I got in here and it started to rip. Got a really nice deal. I think it was, I can't remember. I know I posted on it. I mean, I have a hard time remembering everything that I say or do. I think it was a Pentagon deal. They got a Pentagon deal. I think that's what it was. I can't go back and find the actual tweet that I did, but they got a Pentagon deal. And so now we're just hitting this little resistance in here. If we push through here, I have two areas up here that I will be watching for right up here. Let me see. No, I don't. That was the old resistance. My God. I hate how the chart does that. But you know what? I'm gonna use that anyway on that lower time frame. I'm gonna use it anyway on the lower time frame. This is where we came into the resistance from initially. This is why I was running my mouth on X saying, hey, you probably, might see a little bit of a rejection. You might see a little bit of a rejection. You can't even tell that it happened now. You can't tell that it happened now, but initially when I was over here, I was like, hold on. How many times have we seen it reject from here? And I was like, yeah, it's rejected enough times that it might do something right here. And then it just so happened to line up with some insider selling and you got that little small pullback, not a whole lot. I wasn't looking for a whole lot anyway. Remember, I was looking for price action to drop just slightly lower in here. So it was just below this wick right here where I was looking to take an entry on it anyway. I just wasn't planning to sell snow to do it. And I decided, you know what? I'll just sell snow. I'll just sell snow. But none of these trend lines right here seem to matter right now. I'm still keeping on here since it shows up oddly like this. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna look for price action to come back into it. But right now, golden pocket tap in here, and this is after hours. So far everything in here looks fine to me. I know that it's far removed from its from its 50 EMA. It's far removed from its 50 EMA. 50 EMA is yeah, it's far removed from it. The last time I had looked at snow was still trading outside of standard deviation. Um, two. If I had my drawings, take that away. That looked good. That spread. That spread looks really, really good. I think I was looking at it over here. Yeah, it was still trading like well outside of standard deviation too. Not that it can't fall back inside of it because it can. So, it was trading well outside of this. Still expanding on the weekly. You can see that. Still expanding on the monthly. You can see that. Like just Valhalla up in here. Just all of that. So, yeah, I switched my money over about the top, which I don't ever do, ever. They've been very reputable in here. I don't know that there really be anything to worry about. Good news just came in on them last week as well. I haven't seen anything. Let me make sure. Let me delete that. Um, Yeah, I haven't seen any updated filings or anything like that. I haven't seen any negative news surrounding Palo so far. It's just been good news. Good news. No new docs, like I said, have been filed. So I'm liking this. Only thing that would be a hiccup, it would happen today. And if it does, and if it gaps down, I would be looking at two places just using the Bollinger Band itself. It's going to be dropping back into standard deviation 2, which is at 266 on a gap down, which would be a big gap down, which I just don't see that happening. I'm hoping it don't happen. I don't know. But I'm hoping it doesn't happen because then I'm stuck with it. As I haven't set a stop on it, and then I might not even be able to do a stop, especially uh, when they report. May not even be able to do one. Something like that, about 266. Worst case scenario would be that from there it just starts to fall over and then it comes back in the standard deviation too. But over here, you can do it a lot, simplified a little bit. So 277 to 266, we'll start there. 277 to 266 on a retracement, on a gap down, something like that. But it's still expanding right now. So I don't, uh, and we just hit what I was looking for. I said with that fib extension there. Uh, yep. I could have changed how I drew out this extension and done it something like this, but um, for what I was looking at, it just made more sense for me to do it like that. Hold on, I didn't mean to do that. And it comes up pretty close in here anyway. It might have actually been better. Let me see. Yeah, it don't matter. It's working. So they're reporting today after hours. Can't wait to see what that turns out like. So I just be on the lookout for that. 277, 266 on a retracement. That looks like it would put it back into this trend line right here too, if it did gap down. If it's an overreaction, then I'll probably come in here and buy some more. Um, and so far that's working out for me. The other one, Dollar General. We was on this the last time when they reported earnings. I think we were actually here for it, and we were looking for the continuation to the upside on DG. Um, I know I don't still have it. I don't think I ever plugged it in to the stock. Let me see if I ever plugged it in. Yeah, because I had it in a pick of the week portfolio, which I've modified that completely. So let me just go ahead and add it in over here since I didn't have it in over here. Because the last time we were looking at it, um, it's been a while. It's been a while now. So was looking for a continuation here to the upside because I was saying that I still felt like it could get up here at least. We didn't make it. We didn't make it. Obviously, we're sitting here looking at it now, so you can see that we didn't make it. And then we broke this. I didn't know that we even did all that because I haven't looked back at it. So I haven't updated the charts whatsoever. Let's just go ahead and delete that. Don't need that anymore. So let's just get rid of that. Um, the other useless stuff I probably will just keep here. I don't even know why I got these useless lines right here on it. I don't know why those lines are there. I really don't know what I was doing with that. But yeah, we was looking for that, and it looks like it came back. It looks like it came back. Oof, oof. Oh, please do good. Maybe I ain't wrong yet. Maybe. Maybe I'm not wrong yet. Mm, maybe I'm not. But we still got time. We still got time. Still got time for me to be right. I won't be profitable, but I'll still be right. Because I'm not in it. I'm not in it. I'm picking and choosing like what stuff I really want to trade. Some stuff I just do just because I know other people it might benefit somebody else and it doesn't benefit me. Yeah, that's how it is. But today I might change my mind. Today I might change my mind. Hmm. That's a little bit too much of a pullback, but that's a little bit too much. It looks like it's a 0.886. A little bit below that 0.886. Yeah, that's a unless I drew it wrong. No, I drew it right. It's just a little bit too much though. But nonetheless, it is back to holding to that 786 right there. So um not that we ever really just have to use that and see how bad did you do against basically the same thing. Um, wonder why I never did because I initially did the TA on this, um, I don't know. I just did not do any details about where price action may or may not come back to. Is that where you at? Something like that. Let's just say DG just don't feel good today. Um, I would expect for it to get closer to lows if it didn't do well today. I would just expect that something like that to happen with it. It's a little bit too close right here with all the other stuff. Let's go with this one right here too. Let's go with this one. I'm still gonna do bare minimum over here right now. Um, because if I don't, that is a little close. Pre-market is already pouncing up here a little bit. I would have to buy something now and then set a stop on it, to be honest, if I wanted to be in it. If I thought that it was going to hold up and do well, which all the retail could be taking a little bit of a doozy just for people to be able to buy in at better entries. That's it. Just for people to be able to buy in at better entries. I think retail is going to be a sector that's going to start back performing pretty well. It's not doing so right now, but it is something that you should have on your radar, especially given the environment around tech. Tech has been doing really good. Semiconductor has been doing really well. Anything that's really delving into AI has been doing pretty decent. But if you look back to the um hold on, let me see, because I want to the dot-com crash, and you're looking at areas where that did not be as affected as tech did. Um, Even though it probably wasn't one of the strongest, but you have your consumer staples, you have your utilities, and you have healthcare. So that's something that I am going to talk about, not today, but that's something that I will be getting into later. So those did very well, even though tech got hit pretty hard. Internet and tech got hit pretty hard during the dot-com bubble. Um, so you want to also structure yourself with some things that may end up doing better. Dollar General would be one of those. Is um, pocket savers. you know, Save a little bit of money in here. So if we happen to see something negative, then I would look down here about 87 and possibly even 69 right here on a move down. But if this holds up, then we still got room right here for this to work out for DG as Bitcoin continues to do nothing useful right now. Okay. So I probably, you know what? I'm not just probably am. I'm gonna go ahead and take a position in it just in case. And then if my stop can be actually they reported, hold on, they're reporting soon. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Because I mean if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And it could be the one time where I'm like trying to do it for myself now that sometimes you just have to stay out of stuff. That's how I feel about some stuff. So your emotions don't get wrapped up in it. Yes, I already got a volatile reaction in here. Let's see. It might catch a bid from there. Let's see what you did here. Let me put it on 2 hour because that's what I use when I'm actually buying. I saw that when I went to the exchange, the platform. Oh, they did. They already did it. Okay, so they've already done it. I am still gonna go ahead and take this buy into them. It's probably some overreaction. I'll look back at it tomorrow and yeah, I'll look back at it tomorrow. The earnings because I'm not gonna have time today. It's already 8:30. My Y crypto YT usually leaves me about this time. It's almost real. Um, Everybody, it's 8 o'clock. Some other YouTubers coming in. Bitcoin still doing nothing but tumbling over right now. So nothing really there. Hype. Hype going back up there for that test again. Which again, I just would not. I wouldn't have considered doing that right there. No, it really needs to pull back into something a little bit more. Like I said, 382, great. 618, great. But this right here, this bounce right here, back into that. See if it's gonna break. I don't know. I still just would not. This is just not a trading space for me. Not for. And it's a nice little bottom and tail, and everybody FOMOing into hype. But mm-mm, mm-mm. It just seems too risky up here, and it may not be. It could just go ahead and do that blast off, and uh, like I said, I would put on a 1-to-1 next on it if it does want to continue. I would look at a 1-to-1. It's already hit that top side of resistance right there. There's the 1-to-1 there at 78. 392, but I could have sworn I had did another fib in here extension, um, where I had a higher target, but I'm not seeing it right now. I would have to do it again. So I don't. And like I said earlier, I didn't have it like this, but god dang, that was a little bit prettier right there. I'll put it back like I had it. I will look for that. Or you can do your fib extension. You can do your fib extension, and you can actually put it on this instead to get a little bit better of a tap than what I got when I did it. Because this part threw me off. So this it could have been that I needed to put it right there and I didn't, because that part did throw me off. But that's not going to match up because my low was right here. So really, it wasn't going to match up anyway. So I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right. So I would look at that. I said that. Oh my gosh. If we clear this, then maybe I'll come back and I mean like clear it, and back test it. Then I'll consider something, a long position. But right here at resistance, so close to it, potential resistance. I know people are trying to short that. I know they are. I know they're trying to short it because that was the only thing that they could really see, um, for price discovery of it possibly having some resistance. It's that trend line. So once it gets past, it comes back and back tests. If it holds it, then I'll consider getting long on it. Otherwise, it has to drop into here, and it's not doing it so far. So that's a no go. That is an absolute no go. Falling. No wonder I set my stop loss for. Is this wick high? It's breaking through it anyway. Yeah, why? It's breaking through it anyway. So yeah, that just speaks to those lows again that I was talking about. Where I was saying like that's the most important level right there. That just reconfirms right here just how important that is. Those lows right there, where we've seen those multiple bounces from, that we're going to end up coming into, but we're going to hit this other one first, which I do believe is it this? No, it's this high right here. I think it's this high. I can tell you can tell you for sure. I think it is this high right here. I think it's that. Put it on 15. And make sure that that match. Yep, that matched right here. The one that you see that for that long entry. That's that one. Just trying to make sure. Yeah. Yep, it's that one. And then that one. And then anybody here that don't know where we bounced from when we got this low bounce right here, we bounced from the other year high right here. So we bounced off of that one. If you don't know that. I showed it to you some other ways too, but I have shared that before that that was where we actually got that bounce from for Bitcoin. It was our 2021 high right there. Uh, and then we never had any closures below the 2020. Well, the second high off of the 2021. We never had any closures below that point right there. We wicked through it, but we never had the closures below it. So if you were to go through and just line out these right here, that can be useful. It can be useful right in here. It's a one. Let's see. And you don't have to try to do it with the candlestick chart with the wicks showing. It's a lot easier to do it with the wicks not showing. In fact, let me just duplicate this because it will sync. I think I got it where it sinks in. Let me do that. I like that. I wouldn't be looking for it, but I actually like it. I'm gonna do that. Not because that's what I'm waiting on. You already know what I'm waiting on, but I'm gonna do that anyway. As we get closer to this lever. Almost. Almost. As we get closer to it. Trying to see what's the best chart to watch it from. Do it right over here. If I use that for anything, it would probably be a stop. If I took a position from right here, it would probably be a stop or something like that. I probably risk a little bit more right here, maybe. With that in mind, um, just depends on how much if we were to push through it and how much of a reaction we would get. But this is the last two zones right here of where I'd be willing to try here and here, and then I'm gonna have to leave it alone. And just wait for a market structure break or look to take a short. But I haven't seen a good short entry right now. The last good one was right here on the VWAP rejection. Um, Hey, that garbage from yesterday is still playing out. Like I said, that's still playing out. And this is gonna sound I hate to say rely totally on an indicator, but if you're paying attention to this right here, like if you, I'm not using those, but they meet. They're the same. They're basically the same. So your EMA, this would be your 12 EMA that you're seeing price action. We're not seeing this actually flip above the 26. So I would put on a 12 EMA and I would put on a 26 EMA. I would look for a change of behavior because you don't have one so far. Like clearly, price has been rejecting. So if you're just using a 26 EMA, you can say that 26 EMA is your mean reversion for your RSI, where your 50% comes in that because they come pretty close to each other in that regard. Um, I'm using a different set of ribbons, but like I said, 12. This would be relevant to a comparable to a 12. Let me see, 12 and 26. Yeah, I got those on right there. So it would be it comes close to a 12. That's the red. The red is the EMA. It comes close to the ribbons that I'm using. So that's a 12. And then the white one right here is going to be your 26, which I'll use these ribbons interchangeably. Um, this is do you think we should have a little bounce today? I think that we will. I do think that we will see a bounce today. It may not be that much. Maybe people are getting past the late information, the whole situation. I did not look at oil. Maybe people are getting past the whole situation with uh, oil and stuff. The geopolitical stuff hasn't really had the strongest narrative with the market. It just really hasn't. So I can't say that it's that. I think that people are seeing the break from the trend line. That's number one. The sell off. Knowing Michael Saylor sold a little bit last week, um, which he didn't sell much. He didn't sell that much, and he already shared that he would be doing that. Sentiment is just not there. And then we had a lot of puts come in, and we're gamma where dealers are net short right now. But I think that some sort of a bounce will come in right here. I honestly do. Between these two lows down here, I think people will continue to try somewhere down in here anyway. I know I will. The daily chart just seems like it's trying to turn up, and we're just walking the line. And I don't get that, but we're just walking the line. We're not seeing any emotions from that daily time frame right now, which is something that you can wait on too. You can wait for momentum to actually turn. It's not turning. So we know we're still going down. Can't wait for momentum to turn. If you want to be more conservative, um, let these two EMAs right here cross each other. Let your 12 and 26 cross each other. At least that gives you information that your MACD is doing something different because you haven't had a cross. So that gives you a change of behavior. If nothing else, you will know that you have a change of behavior from price action if you allow these two to cross. You won't catch the bottom, but allow them to cross because that speaks to your momentum shifting in here too. So 12 and 26 also says a lot about your MACD. Your MACD is likely coming above your it's above your zero. So it's far like it's a big spread in here right now. It's showing that we are pretty extended in here, but we did not get a good bounce the last time we got extended. Right here we didn't get a good bounce. We got this break. We've been trading below the mean, the 50, which is why I said put those ribbons on, and then that way you can at least tell like where you need to be above. Reading your RSI, where do I need to be above to say that I'm finally breaking above my mean? Because you haven't had that either. You failed every time. Rejection, rejection. Had another rejection. Yeah, you can see you keep rejecting the 50% of your RSI. You keep rejecting that. Was putting in bear deals right there. Nothing there, but you can see we're staying below that. So as soon as we do manage to get above there, with that cross, you know that you can get a bigger push out of Bitcoin. You're not getting that right now. So 12 and 26. It's gonna be where your again where your MACD would let me turn these three off for a second. So you see how your MACD broke down below zero. It was chopping the zero right in here. Actually, not right there. It chopped. No, it broke down right there too. But it was chopping. It was chopping the zero right here before it rolled completely over. And so that's what you know you're getting is your MACD also coming above your zero, which looks like it's going to be a really hard thing to do right now with that spread between those. Um, but RSI moves a lot faster than the MACD. But that would be good to see. That means you're moving into bullish at least, bullish territory. It may not be strong, but you will be moving into it. So I would wait on that if you want to be more conservative. The other thing would be to just let momentum flip. You can see right here it tried with that green candle bounce right there, but it did not do well. You can look for that either on the. I would look at it from the 4 hour time frame or over here because it hasn't turned at all over here. It did not come back up when it was over here. It did not turn. It did not cross back above it. So that was a failed attempt because it never crossed back above here. Usually I would wait on something like that, but I was trying to be in front of the idea of us holding here and then taking out this liquidity right here. It didn't work. I got it wrong. It didn't work. I didn't wait for clarity either. It would have been too late in my opinion anyway. Just I tried to use the lower time frame to time it out, and we never did it. We never crossed above it at any point. And now we're down here um, at this one. This was bullish divergence. You could drop it in here a little bit more like that. I wouldn't go beyond that, but you could wait for momentum to actually start to turn because it can do it in one candle on the daily, but you'll see it at least range a little bit on the lower time frame. You'll see it range a little bit. You could wait on that. And that was just a flag. That inside range was just a flag. I thought, mm, I was wrong. I was wrong. And it's just going to be for a lower high, and then it's going to continue down. You can already tell that looking at it. It's just going to be a lower high, and it's going to continue down. Um, if we drop into here, it'll probably come back into these lows right in here, or I mean, we'd be lucky if it did take that liquidity, but I'm not looking up there anymore. I'm not looking up there anymore. I take it one step at a time. But I think that we will see some sort of a bounce come in. But no need to rush right here. This situation is not changing right now. It's just not changing. We got to squeeze on the 15-minute time frame. We got to squeeze on the 1 hour time frame. We got to squeeze on the daily time frame. We had the bullish divergence on the 1 hour time frame. It looks like it is going to get invalidated. We had it yesterday on the 4 hour, but it didn't give anything. But right here on the, from this point right here, all of this right here is a div. Now they can come back in and take that liquidity right here off of this high right here. But you can see the bullish divergence through here, which looks like it might get invalidated. I'm not sure. It might get invalidated, and they drop it one more time below here. But I think after it does that into here, it will bounce. I do see that as a potential bounce coming to the 786, which is right here. That monthly level of support right here. The daily, it just happens to line up because it was a monthly level of support. So I'm not going to make it sound like it's some confluence. It's not. It was because of the monthly time frame that this level even matters. And like I said, 786 got the bullish divergence. Even if it's invalidated, it looks like we would see that bounce from here. And then, like I said, they could want to come up here and take out that liquidity. Is that how I did it? Yeah, that's exactly how I set it up over here for this liquidity right here. Back into that VWAP. And I think our mean reversion, I could see where the standard deviation 1 is coming in at, but I think the mean reversion was right there also. Which again, if you was using EMAs, would be a 26. If you were using them. So by the time that happens, this will have slid down a little bit. So I would expect for that to be a rejection point if price action was, and then look for a short right there. Be my thing. I would consider a short right in here. Or maybe you just want to do that. Maybe you don't want to take a long. Maybe you just want another short. It would be somewhere right in here if you ask me. This is not going to be no V-shaped recovery. So that's my setup. That's what I'm going to be looking for price action to do. I'm going to hang out. So you use 12 and 26, not 9 and 21. No, I don't use 9 and 21. I don't use those. I use the 12 and 26. I use the 12 and 26 because they speak to the MACD. They speak to the MACD. They speak to most of your indicators are going to have some relevance to that because that's going to be where a lot of your indicators are going to have their mean reversion. So like I said, if you notice that 26, the 26 is simply where your mean reversion is for your RSI. RSI uses a different type of moving average, but the 26, if you use that, it's still going to give you the same as the code that's in the RSI, that 26. And then for the MACD, the MACD crossing above the 0 and below the 0 matches with the cross of a 12 and 26 EMA. That's how you know your MACD is above or below your 0 line, which is very important for your overall analysis and in continuation of what the market sentiment is really like. MACD is really good for confirmation. So that 12 and 26 just happens to just be perfect for it. So yeah, 12 and 26 is what I use when it comes to the EMA. The only one that would be different is if you use something like a commodity channel, and that would be a SMA, because in their code they use a SMA. They use a 20 SMA, so it's very much like the Bollinger Band, which is why I do that Bollinger Band strategy with the 20 SMA. but most of your indicators, they're gonna relate to that 12 and 26 EMA. They're gonna relate to 12 and 26 EMA, especially the 26. But the 12 with the 26 is special for the MACD. And that's why you'll see price action continue to roll over when you get that cross. Unless your MACD is just chopping around at the zero line, once you get across from your 12 and your 26 EMA, you're either flipping really bearish or you're flipping bullish. In the story. Actually, let me not use that. And I got to set this to the right number. Even though I'm not going to have those on. Just these two. So you see that bearish cross. Well, that's between something else, but you see where your MACD drops your 100. That's because this happens. Your 12 and 26 crosses. You can see where it pushed up and it failed. So you can actually be able to tell a lot easier when you're going to have a successful MACD cross and when you're going to have a failed MACD cross. Because you'll get a fast signal from MACD crossing above its signal line. You'll get that, but it doesn't mean anything really until MACD crosses above your zero line. Like this right here is just corrective at best. Like right in here, like MACD must have crossed above its signal line. I'm pretty sure that the delta was above zero. So delta above zero means MACD is above its signal line, which is why I don't put the signal line in here because I don't need it. You got delta. Delta above zero means MACD is above its signal line. But the most important thing happens when MACD crosses that zero line, MACD itself. So your 12 and 26 EMA, that's what that is. That cross right there means MACD is falling bearish. And then you start to get continuations like that over here. You drop the first time right here. You got your cross right here. You drop the first time right here. So that's all that's really telling you is that right there. And then a failed cross between them is usually where you see that happen. Like it was crossing right here. It absolutely did not work. Cross back down, and you just continuing. So it gets really bearish when the MACD over here on the daily. That's why the daily looks like total garbage right now. Oh, I was trying to see something with the don't ignore those pink lines right there. That's the last time we saw a bounce off of the MACD on the 4-hour time frame was around this line right here. It doesn't look like it right now because I'm not over there. But right here, this is where the MACD, not the I'm saying yeah, the MACD crossed above the zero line. Right here where you got this cross right here between the 12 and 26 EMA. And that's all it is. And that's why I use it because it gives me insight on how big how good my move is going to be, and when they spread apart, they're no I use another indicator to kind of tell like when they're coming back closer together because you can't really tell it looking right here, but it's when it crosses below zero that you really start selling. So that 12 and 26, it means a lot. It really. So no other look back on the EMA is going to work for me. It has to be this. Has to be that. And I was explaining, like, if you just did that on the weekly time frame, like, if you just did that on the weekly, like, it's crossed 6 times on the weekly. 6 times in history on the weekly has the MACD and the Delta crossed each other. 6 times to the upside. 6 times. And then you can see how successful it failed. I would say it failed twice. You might not consider it to be a failure. I do. It crossed right here, but only 6 times has the MACD and the Delta crossed above. I mean, the 12 and 26 crossed on the weekly time frame. And then you end up getting these massive moves up. And then, you enter late. It's fine. That's fine. And then when it crossed down, it's done. you know, it ain't nowhere near crossing right now, but that's all right. We're getting closer to this move. So I to see if I can take this long entry right here. The other thing that 12 and 26 tells you with the RSI is when you're trying to push above 40, which um in the laws of the RSI, if you're moving above 40, then you're trying to um flip out of relative weakness. And so once you can cross that, then your RSI is going to be somewhere around it's going to be around the 40. So if you were using your RSI in here with that, and let's just say like this top right here, I can say I know that we would put in some bearish divergence because price is likely going to do no more than that right there. Come back into this 12, and I have a target right here for 71,254. I have a target. So if we which is why I'm also looking at this right here. It's in between that and the 50. Um, I know that it won't do any more than that. If we're really bearish, we're probably going to stay below this, below the mean somehow. But when you're underneath it, then you're looking at your 40 right here, and you're looking at your 50 right here. When it's below you and you're getting a pullback, then you're looking for your 60. You're looking for it to be your 60, the 12 to be your 60 RSI, and then that's always going to stay 50. That never changes. 26 is always going to be your 50. It's always going to be your center, your mean. But this one just depends on where it is. Is it above you or below you? Because if it's above you, it's 40. If it's below you, it's 60. And you start to flip bearish a lot of times when you're breaking below this one. I like to be able to understand my indicator. That's all. If I'm using it, then I need something that works with it. So you can see your 60 right here. It's underneath you. It's going to be 60. So generally when RSI starts crossing back below 60 like that, you're flipping bearish. You can wait. You can wait. But usually when it starts to do that, you're flipping bearish. It broke below 50 right here. As you can see, it broke below the mean right here. So you start chopping like that, you likely gonna roll over, and they will weld in together. And then that's the one time where it successfully breaks that 60 and bye boy, boy boy. I think a 200 is is like if it's below your price action, I think that's like your oversold territory. Your 30. That's why a lot of people depend on 200 too without knowing it. Without knowing it, it's like pushing into oversold territory on your RSI, which is why when you look at Bitcoin, as we push in here, when you look at Bitcoin on, let's just say a weekly time frame, let's say this for example, and I can see it on my other screen over there. Bitcoin becomes oversold below here. Oh, not MACD. My bad. I don't have an RSI on over here. Don't tell me I deleted the RSI. That's crazy. Here, I'll just use the standard RSI instead. But you can see how you break below 30 right there on that 20. I mean, that 200. People don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. That's the same as looking at your RSI dropping into oversold territory. Right down here. Right here. It actually breaks below it right here. So it is this actual candle right here. But that's the same thing as your RSI dropping into oversold territory. So then you're looking to leave that oversold territory and come out. And first you have to get through 40 if it's above you, then that ends up turning into a 40. Like I said, I'm just gonna drop that. That ends up turning into your 40. And you really need to get above your 40. So once you reclaim that, then you pushing above your 50 right here. And then, you end up getting your MACD cross and all that good stuff right here. And then it's gone. But yeah, the 200 EMA breaking below that is equivalent to going into oversold on your RSI. Facts. See again right here, we broke that 200 right here. We broke into oversold. What's considered to be oversold, which is relative weakness on the RSI. That's all that is. That's all it is. And where did we reject? We rejected our mean, our 50 right here. We broke through it a little bit. You can see it on the RSI, but that's where our rejection came from. So if I don't want to look down there, which sometimes I do want to look down there, it just gives you insight. 1226, amazing. 200, now you know what that is. 200. The one that I don't have on for the EMA is the 52. I go 1226 and then 52. 52 is when these are on top of you. 60, 50, and 52 would be 40. So you really below, anything 40 and below, you've already pushed into weakness. Some people say 50, but anything below, at a 40 and below, you pushed into relative weakness already, and then you push into oversold. So those are the four that I will use: 1226, 52, 200. Every now and then, I have that 400 um, on the higher time frame, the 400, because that's a buy. I'm buying it. Bitcoin, at least, I'm buying it. It's my four. I can't believe wow, I deleted my RSI. That's crazy. Dang. I had information stored on it too. Hmm. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Market will open in 30 minutes. I'm going to hang in here for this market to open to see what kind of volatility we get and see if I can't take this entry right here while I am still feeling all right. I did not look at Ulta, but I'm not going to look at Ulta now. Not while we're moving down a little bit more here on Bitcoin. Can revisit Ulta tomorrow, and I'll let you know what my decision, how my decision went on this DG. As I uh, did buy some. Man, Ulta stock is like $500. Who's buying that? Somebody, but their accumulation zone is like 350. I might just do a limit order and just let it stop me out if it's not gonna work. Usually I just really want to wait on the reaction, but I'm gonna mm, make sure I got the right level on blow fan though. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. 68, 184. Be 68, 184 for me. Um, I think that was correct. Blow fan chart does not even go back that far. It doesn't give me 2021 data on the perpetuals, but I know that it is near this. Actually, you know what? Let me, because I'm using this, I should actually use a golden pocket. I'm using a fib extension. Get rid of that. Yeah, I still think that's right though. We'll turn this one off. Golden pocket. All right, got my little limit order in here. Go ahead and adjust my little stop loss. All right, I won't lose that much if it doesn't work in my favor. Because it's a really tight zone right here. See you tomorrow at Crypto YT. I appreciate you so much. And if Bitcoin doesn't let me have this, then that's fine. I will just have to wait for something else to reveal itself. As we're trying to see what we're doing on this 15-minute. Let's see. This is guy I follow on Trading View. Dang. Yeah, Lazy Bear. Lazy Bear gave me the idea of his indicator that I got so much stuff going on in here right now. But he has an indicator. He uses it to determine Elliott wave, but I liked it enough that I used it for those ribbons. So it helps me to see that too. Like if I just wanted to do this, I can do it like this without putting these on right here. So this is It's showing me the MACD situation with these two ribbons right here. It's showing me the 12 and 26 EMA. But the way that it codes, it shows you the divergence between them two. So when you're still rolling over, but you're what's a good way for me to explain it? Because I don't think I'm gonna explain it properly. But you can see the divergence between your moving averages too. Moving averages, price action, or whatever. But you can see the divergence in here. So as this starts to inch up close, like I can tell I can tell it's a huge spread between these right here already. Like but you can see it a lot easier, like what your spread is like and whether or not it's actually diverging. I haven't played with this too much. I honestly haven't, but I have noticed that it does give you good divergence. It does. So like right here where I mean, you can see it right here on the MACD also. Um, but not always. Not always. But it does give you some good divergence in here too. So when you're diverging and you're coming close, your ribbons are getting closer and closer together for your actual breakdown. I mean, I like it. Like I said, you can see it with the MACD too, but I just figured I'd bring it up. I like his work, and he inspired me to do this one. I have something else I prefer over it, but it can occasionally be useful. It can occasionally. Yeah, I have to mess with it a little bit more. Only real use case in using it is if I don't have the ribbons on the chart, but I prefer to have the ribbons on the chart um, than be trying to. Oh no, I like to see things really clear. Come on, Bitcoin. 1 minute and market is going to open, and then we'll see what kind of volatility we can get if we're going to get that move down here for the entry that I have set up. If it's going to hold, if it's going to just absolutely nuke through here, I don't know. I'm gonna take a chance right here. It stops me out. It won't be too bad. um, I don't want to be shedding off any capital. We would have to dance around in here anyway. I don't see us doing a V-shaped recovery, but it could happen. It could happen because we're so extended right now. Like we're just really extended. So it's possible. As we reach for this golden pocket, or how I had it before was just the extension um, for the fifth wave extension is what that was for. Wave 5 extension to the downside. I think I had did it as an extended wave. I think that's what I did with it. We're getting zero volatility. It is 9:30. Is it not? Check back on SPY. Let's see what kind of surprise SPY has today. Because it will surprise. It's trying to come back up a little bit. Sure is. It's back testing the trend line that it got the breakdown from right now. And remember, I adjusted this trend line because it wasn't, it was like this. And I adjusted it because these two bounces right here left those wicks underneath it. So I adjusted it to this one right here. And like I said, repeatedly, SPY has broken these trend lines and then, bounced back up. But it has a major level above it, which I could move this trend line up to match this high now, just in case something like that happened. But it is at a major resistance area right here where it's failing to get above that trend line right there. So we'll see. Because Bitcoin is doing nothing right now with the market open. Being patient, got the limit order set up, see if it's going to work out. Um, got a monthly level and a golden pocket right here. But if that doesn't work, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for a conservative entry at that point. Um, instead of front running. Well, actually, I'm just looking at support and resistance. That's all. Looking at support and resistance. We didn't have any major data today. We have Jolt's job opening at 10 a.m., but nothing major today. I did not get into that. I was supposed to cover that with you. Tomorrow is our day. We'll have ISM, so we'll have some more impactful information coming out tomorrow. We have ADP non-farm employment change, and then we have ISM services PMI on Wednesday. So I know that I will be around to at least see what the non trying to get that country accent out of the way. None farm. It's hard to say. Employment change. ADP. A lot easier. All right. I think I gave it all the time that I can really give it because we're not doing anything right now. Uh, SPY rejecting a little bit, getting a reaction anyway off of that trend line. We did do what I was expecting for us to do on oil as I was talking about it. I didn't cover it yesterday, but the days before that, over the weekend, before the weekend and all that good stuff, I talked about it because we were in this little falling wedge structure in here, and I kept saying that oil looks like it's going to bottom out. Oil looks like it's going to bottom out. I haven't touched anything and pulled anything out here, but it did actually get that break out of here and a back test already. But this is what we was looking at, and I was telling you that about oil's base right in here, because every time oil gets down here towards this base right here, oil does a pump. It has worked. I'd be looking for it to break down below it and then um, come back above it. The last time we was looking at it, we was looking at oil getting into this 87.50, 59 right here. It did swoop it a little bit more, put in some bullish divs right here at this base, and actually bounce perfectly off of that base from that bullish divergence. And we got this little move up right here. Um, I could have sworn I had a ceiling for it, but maybe I don't, and I have to go in and add one. But if you wanted to, if you did anything like this, hold on, let me put it on the four. I do have a ceiling. Okay, so I do have a ceiling in here. My ceiling is up here. That was the last place where we had seen a rejection from right here. So this is my ceiling for now. We're not at that ceiling. We're doing the mean reversion right here, just bouncing off of none other than, depending on what you want to use. If you want to use the EMAs, you can use the EMAs. Same thing. It's going to be right here, bouncing off of our mean right in here. So, and then everything is overhead. We'll see if it starts to hold in here. It might be able to get through there. Um, But that's the only place where I have a ceiling at. So if it comes up and it RSI gets anywhere in here, which would be where 400 would be at, wherever 400 is. I mean, 200 is overhead. That'd be about where oil could see some sort of a rejection at. I've been using these same levels right here. They have been magical. So I don't have a reason to not rely on them. Let me see if I were. Let me make sure it's set properly. Um, I'm gonna turn that one off for a minute. Actually, I won't turn that one off. I'll leave it on. Make sure I got them set in here. Yep. So 200 is right here at 92.30 because it is overhead now. You can use it because it's overhead. So that'll be basically when you're pushing up into above 70, something like that. Might see a little bit of a reaction in here. Got these lows in here as well that might actually do something. But other than that, unless this thing just flips bullish, I don't know why this. Oh, okay, yeah, that was a much, much, much higher point in here. But the last time, like I said, we swung fail right here on it. Let me make sure this is. Making sure I wasn't hitting my entry yet, and we're not. I didn't see a good ceiling to do over here on this time frame. Not on the 1 hour, just the base. That, like I said, whenever it dropped below it, I'd be looking for it to reclaim it, and then that's where you see these little bounces happen at. So that's how I was doing it. That's how I would do it often. And you can see them. You can see them. You can see them. You might see a bounce. So that's why I was calling for a bounce right there. It's starting to push up a lot higher in here. All right. With that said, I'm going to leave it there. I really appreciate you if you came by to hang out with your girl down the Crypto TA on the new show, which is G.O.A.T Media Invest. I tried to just do G.O.A.T Media, but it said no. You're going to have to do something at the end because that name is already taken. So that's all right. That's all right. Looks like we did hit that. Oh, I was using this time frame. No, we didn't. Okay. Golden pocket at least. I'm still not going to enter until we hit this. I don't know what could be holding price up besides people being in the mindset that it's a golden pocket and willing to take it from there. I don't see that. I'm gonna need for it to actually come to something that has proven itself because this hasn't proven to me anything. But this support level has. I'm gonna need for it to hit that if I'm gonna enter. As slow as it's moving, if I just feel like it just wants to just drop straight through here. It's moving so slow, I just feel like it's gonna drop. We know that when we did the measured move for the head and shoulder formation, that it was below here. I think it actually did come into this. Let me see if I hide. Let's hide that. And let me just do this neckline. Which shoulder was everybody using? I'm assuming that it was this shoulder and not this one because we came back up on that. It can't be that. Hold on. Make sure I'm pretty good on that. And then I know it had came below the yeah, it did. It came all the way down to here. To the very last important level of support is where it came back to. This one. It's a very important level right here. It measured down to this one. Mm. Well, got nothing to lose but a few more dollars if I do have to try again right here. Really need to wait on confirmation to be honest with you right in here. But I'm gonna give it a shot. I'll probably go ahead and lock in some profits and then that way I don't because I didn't lock in the last time. But that way I don't I could just be stopped out at a break even. With that said, you know what that is. And I'm going to get out of here. 66,973 to 66,010. This is on the Binance chart. But you can always use the fixed range volume profile or just an anchored VWAP. You're just looking down here at these lows. Right about where your 786 is. You're looking down here at these lows.